Hey guys, welcome to 4D Ranch. This is probably going to be the last video in my garden series, and this is all about fertilizer. And if you have followed my garden journey this year, you'll know that I'm a rookie at gardening. I've never grown anything until this year. What you see behind me is all accomplished this year with zero experience. I used a method called the Mittleider Method, and I stumbled across this book on the internet. Read it cover to cover 2 or 3 times during the winter, prepped my garden, followed it to the T, and I was pretty happy with the results so far. So I want to go over what I've learned about fertilizer, and I know it's very controversial nowadays because everybody wants to be organic and not use petrochemical fertilizer. And I think this is one of the biggest contentions with this Mittleider program is a lot of people poo-poo the fact that we're using fertilizer. I don't agree or disagree. I just needed some kind of instruction to follow step by step that I could ensure myself of being successful with my garden. So that's what I've done. It did work so far. And I don't see any drawbacks to it other than you're going to have to buy this fertilizer on a routine basis, and we all know fertilizer is getting expensive and hard to find, so that is probably a drawback. So first and foremost, the book goes over all the essential nutrients that plants need to live, and there's 16 different essential nutrients according to the book. Well, 3 of them you hear about all the time: the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's in every standard fertilizer. So that's the 3 micronutrients. Then there are 3 other macronutrients, and then the rest are all micronutrients. And the micronutrients are, I think, what a lot of people who fail at gardening are missing in their soil or in their fertilizer. This is all the micronutrients over here. And I got mine from Alpha Chemicals, just the minimum amount of quantities that they sell, and that'll do you fine. You can also find people selling the micronutrient packs already mixed on the website called growfood.com, and then there's another guy, a LD Prepper, I think's his name, who sells the micronutrients and also pushes the book, the Mittleider Method gardening book. Before I ever even put a plant in the ground, I was doing research online, and I ran across this Facebook group who had a differing opinion, I guess you could say, of the Mittleider Method and what this new book is promoting as the 16 essential nutrients. Not necessarily the 16 nutrients, but the amount of each and what you should be applying to have a successful garden. And it sparked my interest, and then I did some more research and found that a lot of people who tried the Mittleider Method that I'm trying had some failures, mainly due to calcium deficiencies or blossom end rot, certain things like that. So this group had a compelling argument, and it's a Facebook group, and I'll link it down below. Very nice people, and it's a small portion of people that are doing the Mittleider Method in that group, and they recommended a little different recipe here. I went ahead and changed the book recommended recipe to what the guys on the Facebook group were recommending to be successful. And all it entailed really was, I think, a little bit more Epsom salt, and then mainly the missing ingredient, they say, is the calcium, and we use this form of calcium chloride. This is food grade. I think it's used for wine or beer making or something like that, but I got this on Amazon for, I think, $14, and all I did was add this to my already mixed Mittleider weekly feed, and I've been, as you can see, pretty pleased with the methods. So these are 30-foot grow beds, so the recommended application rate for this weekly feed is ½ ounce per linear foot. So I've been putting 15 ounces. I'll just measure it out. I measured out how much 15 ounces was, and it's 2/3 of a cup, I believe, or 1 2/3 cup. I fill up to 15 ounces, and I fertilize down the middle of the bed every week. Now, all the plants in the garden here do not require feedings more than 6 or 8 weeks. There's recommendations in the book on when to stop fertilizing your plants. Tomatoes being heavy feeders, I believe they're 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. Other things like the greens, the carrots, the pole beans, I've stopped fertilizing those a few weeks ago. I think it only took 6 weeks of fertilizer on that bed. So every plant has a different requirement. That being said, I'm going to mix up one last batch of fertilizer and use it for my weekly feed going forward. Now, I'm going to show you what I used, a couple different things as my weekly feed, and I produced this so far. So the main ingredient is 25 pounds of any 13, 13, 13 or above fertilizer. I used the 13, 13, 13 originally, and then I was able to find 17, 17, 17 at my local co-op, and that's the main ingredient. The first measurement is 25 pounds of your triple 13 fertilizer. So I'm going to use the triple 17 this time because that's what I have. And we're going to mix all this into 5-gallon bucket. We're gonna go 25 pounds. Okay, there's 15. That's as big as my bucket will hold. And we're gonna go 10 more. 10. Before I put the 10 pounds in there, I'm going to go ahead and put the 4 pounds of Epsom salt. Okay, there's 2 pounds. There's 4 pounds Epsom salt. Now, if you're in a humid climate, you're probably going to either want to mix this as it's needed on a weekly basis or use some perlite in here because it'll get clumpy and you'll have to break it apart in a humid climate. Okay, so we've got the 25 pounds, 4 pounds of Epsom salt, and then we're going to add, it's basically not even a pound of the micronutrients that are required. So I'm just mixing up the micronutrients here with the fertilizer and the Epsom salt. And the last ingredient that's not included in the book is calcium chloride. So now I don't have the exact measurement that you need in the bulk mixture because I'm sure I could figure it out if I wanted to do the math, but I'm using a printout that I received from a user in the Facebook group that basically broke down if you're using the book method of the 13-13-13 mixture, then you add 22.5 grams of calcium chloride to every 15-ounce application. So every time I pull out my 15 ounces to weekly feed my grow beds, I add 22.5 grams of calcium chloride, and that's how I've been doing it all year. Okay, so I'm not going to add the calcium chloride into the bulk. We're going to add the rest of the fertilizer with the micronutrients, and we're going to mix it up. The way I have been operating all year to get the amount of calcium you need is, like I said, before every weekly feed, I'm just adding 22.5 grams. And then adding the 15 ounces. So I've got to change my scale to ounces. Okay, and then I've been also just mixing up that calcium chloride with the 15 ounces of weekly feed, or what I've been doing is running it right down the center of the grow box, right under the irrigation pipe, and just kind of scratching it in with my hand right before watering. So that's what we're going to do. It's time for my weekly feed, and I'm going to go ahead and feed my pepper plants and tomatoes. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or comments or see anything wrong with this method, leave them in the section below, and be sure to like, subscribe, and all that stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.